Manny stepped out of the private meeting that had lasted well into the early morning hours, his mind heavy with the weight of business decisions and contractual negotiations that seemed to consume more of his time than he preferred. The neon lights of Quezon City reflected off the wet pavement as he pulled his baseball cap lower over his eyes, a habit formed from years of trying to move through the world without constant recognition. At 56, the legendary boxer had learned to cherish these rare moments of anonymity. The rain had just stopped, leaving the streets gleaming under the streetlights, and Manny found himself longing for a simple ride home rather than the usual convoy of security vehicles and handlers that typically surrounded him. His security team had been dismissed for the evening, as he often did when he wanted to reconnect with the reality of everyday Filipino life. These solitary journeys had become essential to his well-being, reminding him of his humble beginnings and the values that had shaped his character. Using a ride-hailing app on his phone, Manny requested a taxi from the quiet residential area where his meeting had taken place. As he waited by the simple gate, he observed the sleeping neighborhood around him, noting the modest homes where hardworking families rested after another day of struggle and perseverance. These observations always filled him with a deep sense of connection to his roots and the people who had supported him throughout his journey from poverty to global recognition. The approaching headlights of an old Toyota Vios cut through the darkness, and Manny recognized the familiar sight of a Filipino taxi driver working the night shift to provide for his family. As the vehicle pulled up, he could see the driver's tired but determined expression, a look he remembered from his own father's face during the countless nights of hard labor that had sustained their family during his childhood in General Santos City. Manny approached the taxi with his characteristic humility, offering a gentle smile to the driver who appeared to be verifying his identity through the window. The boxer's movements were deliberate and respectful, understanding that his presence might be unexpected, but hoping that his demeanor would put the hard-working driver at ease. As he settled into the back seat, Manny felt a familiar sense of peace that came from these authentic interactions with everyday Filipinos. The request for a ride to Ninoy Aquino International Airport was genuine, as Manny had an early morning flight to catch, but he had deliberately chosen the longer route through the city center. These extended drives had become a form of meditation for him, allowing time to reflect on his responsibilities and to reconnect with the Philippines that had shaped his identity. The late hour and the rain-washed streets created the perfect atmosphere for contemplation. As the taxi pulled away from the curb, Manny gazed out at the city lights with the appreciation of someone who had traveled the world but never forgotten where he came from. The boxer's trained eye noticed the driver's careful navigation and professional demeanor, qualities that reminded him of the countless hard-working Filipinos who had inspired him throughout his career. This chance encounter already felt like it would be more meaningful than a simple ride to the airport. Manny's heart was filled with gratitude as he settled in for the journey, knowing that this quiet drive through Manila would provide the perfect opportunity to listen and learn from another Filipino whose story deserved to be heard. The champion had learned that these conversations often taught him more about strength and resilience than any boxing match ever could, and he prepared himself to be fully present for whatever wisdom this hard-working driver might share. Manny's trained eye immediately recognized the signs of a dedicated family man in his driver's careful attention to the road and the respectful way he conducted himself. The boxer had encountered thousands of hard-working Filipinos throughout his career, and he possessed an almost intuitive ability to identify those who were struggling to provide for their loved ones. As they drove through the quieter streets of Manila, Manny felt drawn to learn more about this particular driver's story. The champion requested the scenic route through the city center, genuinely wanting to observe Manila's nighttime landscape while creating opportunities for meaningful conversation. Manny had learned that these extended journeys often revealed the most authentic insights into Filipino life, and he sensed that this driver might have experiences worth hearing. The boxer's natural curiosity about his fellow Filipinos had never diminished, despite his global fame and success. As they navigated through the historic districts, Manny began to engage the driver in conversation, using his characteristic warmth and genuine interest to create a comfortable atmosphere. The boxer had mastered the art of making people feel valued and heard, skills that had served him well both in and out of the ring. His questions were thoughtful and respectful, designed to encourage the driver to share his experiences without feeling pressured or uncomfortable. Manny listened intently as the driver began to open up about his 15 years of taxi driving and the challenges of providing for his family in Manila's demanding economic environment. The boxer recognized the familiar themes of sacrifice and determination that had characterized his own journey from poverty to success. Every word the driver spoke resonated with Manny's own memories of struggle and the unwavering support of family members who had believed in his potential. The conversation naturally evolved to include discussion of family responsibilities, and Manny found himself sharing his own philosophy about the importance of staying connected to one's roots and community. The boxer spoke about how success had never changed his fundamental values or his commitment to helping others, particularly those who demonstrated the same work ethic and dedication that had characterized his own rise from humble beginnings. As they passed through neighborhoods where night shift workers were still laboring to support their families, Manny expressed genuine admiration for their dedication and resilience. The champion had never forgotten the countless nights his own family had worked to make ends meet, and he saw reflections of that same spirit in the taxi driver and the other hard-working Filipinos they encountered along their route. These observations reinforced his commitment to using his success to support others facing similar challenges. Manny's appreciation for the driver's professionalism and courtesy became increasingly evident as they continued their journey. The boxer had experienced transportation services around the world, but he always found himself most impressed by the combination of skill and character demonstrated by Filipino drivers. The champion made mental notes about the driver's patience with other motorists and his obvious pride in providing quality service. Despite the challenges of his profession, the boxer began to sense that this particular driver's story might be more compelling than most, recognizing signs of exceptional character and determination that reminded him of the people who had most inspired him throughout his own journey. Manny's instincts told him that this chance encounter might develop into something more meaningful than a simple ride to the airport, and he prepared himself to listen carefully to whatever the driver might be willing to share about his life and dreams. Manny's heart filled with empathy as the driver began to share details about his wife's battle with cancer and the mounting medical bills that were straining the family's finances. The boxer had witnessed similar struggles throughout his community involvement and philanthropic work, but hearing the personal story of this dedicated father brought back vivid memories of his own family's medical emergencies and the desperate measures they had taken to afford treatment during his childhood. The champion listened with profound understanding as the driver described the exhausting routine of working 18-hour days while trying to be present for his wife's treatment and his daughter's education. Manny recognized the familiar weight of responsibility that came with being the primary provider for a family facing crisis. Remembering his own determination to support his loved ones through boxing purses that had seemed impossibly large at the time, but were quickly consumed by urgent needs. As the driver spoke about his daughter's academic excellence and dreams of becoming a nurse, Manny felt a surge of admiration for the young woman's dedication to serving others despite her family's financial struggles. The boxer had always been inspired by young Filipinos who maintained their commitment to helping their communities even when facing personal hardships. The driver's pride in his daughter's character and achievements was evident in every word he spoke about her volunteer work and academic success. Manny began to share his own experiences with family medical crises, speaking about the fear and uncertainty that accompanied serious illness, and the way that love and determination could provide strength during the darkest times. The champion's words carried the weight of personal experience, and he could see that the driver was drawing comfort from knowing that others had faced similar challenges and emerged stronger. The boxer's natural empathy and genuine concern were evident in his careful listening and thoughtful responses. The conversation deepened as they discussed the specific challenges of affording quality medical care in the Philippines, with Manny expressing his understanding of the difficult choices that families must make when resources are limited. The champion had been involved in numerous healthcare initiatives throughout his career, and he possessed intimate knowledge of the gaps in coverage that left hard-working families struggling to afford necessary treatments. His concern for the driver's wife was genuine and heartfelt. As they passed several medical facilities, Manny found himself calculating the potential costs of cancer treatment and the impact that such expenses would have on a taxi driver's income. The boxer's philanthropic experience had taught him to think practically about the financial realities facing struggling families, and he was already beginning to formulate ideas about how he might be able to help. The driver's situation was touching his heart in ways that would ultimately lead to meaningful action. Manny spoke about his own philosophy regarding family loyalty and the sacrifices that parents make for their children's future. The champion had always believed that investing in young people's education and supporting families through medical crises were among the most important uses of his success and resources. The driver's dedication to his wife and daughter, despite his own exhaustion and financial stress, exemplified the values that Manny most admired in his fellow Filipinos. The boxer began to see this chance encounter as more than coincidence, recognizing that he had been placed in a position to learn about this family's struggles and potentially make a difference in their lives. Manny's spiritual beliefs had always included a strong sense of purpose regarding his responsibility to help others, and he felt that familiar stirring of determination that had guided his most significant philanthropic decisions. The driver's story was resonating with him on a deeply personal level, awakening his desire to take meaningful action. Manny found himself deeply moved by the driver's unwavering commitment to his family, despite the overwhelming challenges they faced. The boxer's own journey from extreme poverty to global success had taught him to recognize authentic character when he encountered it, and he could see that this taxi driver embodied the same values of perseverance and sacrifice that had guided his own rise from the streets of General Santos City to the pinnacle of professional boxing. The champion began to reflect on his own responsibility to use his success and resources to support families like the driver's. Remembering the countless people who had helped him during his own struggles, Manny had never forgotten the taxi drivers, street vendors, and other hardworking Filipinos who had supported his early career, often contributing what little they could to help fund his training and travel expenses. The boxer felt a profound sense of obligation to pay forward the kindness that had been shown to him. As the driver spoke about his mechanical skills and dreams of opening an auto repair shop, Manny recognized the entrepreneurial spirit that had driven his own business ventures beyond boxing. The champion had always been impressed by Filipinos who possessed practical skills and the vision to build something lasting for their families. The driver's technical knowledge and work ethic reminded Manny of the qualities that had made his own business partnership successful. The boxer began to formulate a plan that would address not just the immediate needs of the driver's family, but also their long-term aspirations. Manny's experience with various business ventures had taught him to think strategically about sustainable solutions rather than temporary fixes. The champion was already envisioning ways to combine his resources with the driver's skills and determination to create opportunities that would transform the entire family's circumstances. Manny's heart was particularly touched by the driver's description of his wife's courage and positive attitude despite her illness. The boxer had witnessed similar strength in his own family members who had faced medical challenges, and he understood the profound impact that such resilience could have on everyone around them. The champion felt compelled to ensure that this remarkable woman would have access to the best possible care without the burden of financial stress. The conversation about the driver's daughter's nursing aspirations sparked memories of Manny's own children's educational journeys and the pride he felt in supporting young people's dreams. The boxer had always believed that education was the most powerful tool for breaking cycles of poverty, and he was already considering how he could help ensure that this exceptional young woman would have the opportunity to pursue her calling without financial obstacles. As they continued through the city, Manny began to share more personal stories about his own family's struggles and the ways that unexpected opportunities had changed their lives. The champion wanted the driver to understand that transformation was possible and that character and determination were often rewarded in unexpected ways. The boxer's words carried the conviction of someone who had lived through such transformations and wanted to facilitate similar experiences for others. the champion found himself feeling increasingly energized by the prospect of helping this deserving family. Recognizing that such opportunities to make a meaningful difference were among the greatest privileges of his success, Manny had learned that true fulfillment came not from personal achievements, but from the ability to transform other people's lives through acts of generosity and support. The driver's story was awakening his deepest sense of purpose and calling. Manny's mind began working through the practical details of how he could best support the driver's family, drawing on his extensive experience with philanthropic initiatives and business investments. The champion had learned that the most effective help addressed both immediate needs and long-term sustainability, creating opportunities for people to build lasting security rather than simply providing temporary relief. The driver's combination of strong character and practical skills presented the perfect foundation for meaningful intervention. The boxer found himself increasingly excited about the potential impact he could have on this family's life, remembering the profound satisfaction he had experienced from previous acts of generosity. Manny had discovered that helping deserving people achieve their dreams was far more rewarding than any championship title or financial success he had achieved for himself. The driver's story was awakening his deepest sense of purpose and responsibility. As they approached the airport area, Manny began to consider the specific mechanisms through which he could provide support without overwhelming the driver or creating uncomfortable dynamics. The champion had learned that the most meaningful gifts were those that preserved dignity and empowered recipients to build their own success. The boxer was already planning how to structure his assistance in ways that would honor the driver's pride and work ethic. The champion's thoughts turned to his own foundation and the various programs he had established to support Filipino families facing medical and educational challenges. Manny realized that the driver's situation encompassed exactly the kinds of needs that his philanthropic work was designed to address. The boxer felt a sense of alignment between his charitable mission and this unexpected opportunity to help a deserving family. Manny began to envision the transformative impact that his support could have not just on the driver's immediate family, but on the broader community they would serve. The champion had always been motivated by the ripple effects of his generosity. Understanding that helping one family often led to benefits for many others, the driver's dreams of opening an auto repair shop could create jobs and services that would benefit the entire neighborhood. The boxer's excitement continued to build as he considered the potential for creating a lasting partnership with the driver rather than simply providing charity. Manny had learned that the most successful philanthropic initiatives were those that created ongoing relationships and mutual benefit. The champion saw an opportunity to combine his resources with the driver's skills and dedication to build something meaningful for the long term. As they navigated through the early morning traffic, Manny found himself feeling increasingly grateful for this chance encounter and the opportunity it presented to make a real difference in deserving lives. The champion had always believed that such meetings were not coincidental, but were part of a larger purpose that guided his life and work. The driver's story was confirming his faith in the power of generosity and human connection. The boxer began to anticipate the joy he would experience from watching this family's transformation and success. Manny had learned that witnessing other people's achievements and happiness was far more fulfilling than any personal accomplishment. The champion was already imagining the driver's wife recovering with access to the best medical care, the daughter pursuing her nursing dreams, and the family building a successful business together. Manny's strategic mind began organizing the multiple ways he could support the driver's family, prioritizing the most urgent needs while creating a comprehensive plan for long-term success. The champion had learned from his business experience that sustainable change required careful planning and systematic implementation. The boxer was already considering how to coordinate medical care, educational funding, and business opportunities in ways that would maximize their impact. The champion's thoughts turned to the network of medical professionals and facilities that he had worked with through his foundation, identifying the best possible care options for the driver's wife. Manny had established relationships with oncologists and treatment centers throughout the Philippines, and he was already planning how to ensure that this deserving woman would receive world-class care without any financial burden on her family. The boxer's connections could provide access to treatments that would otherwise be unaffordable. As the driver spoke about his daughter's academic achievements and volunteer work, Manny began calculating the full cost of nursing school and considering how to structure a scholarship that would cover all expenses, while providing additional support for the young woman's success. The champion had funded numerous educational initiatives and understood the importance of comprehensive support that addressed not just tuition, but also living expenses and study materials. The boxer's entrepreneurial experience led him to envision the potential for the driver's auto repair shop to become a model business that could be replicated in other communities. Manny had always been interested in creating sustainable business models that provided good jobs while serving community needs. The champion saw an opportunity to partner with the driver in developing a successful enterprise that could eventually expand and create opportunities for other hardworking Filipinos. Manny's mind raced through the logistics of providing immediate financial relief to reduce the family's stress while implementing longer-term solutions. The champion understood that urgent needs required immediate attention, but he also wanted to ensure that his support would create lasting change rather than temporary assistance. The boxer was already planning how to balance immediate relief with sustainable transformation. The champion began to consider the timing of his various interventions, recognizing that the coordination of medical care, educational funding, and business development would require careful sequencing. Manny had learned that successful philanthropic initiatives required attention to detail and systematic implementation. The boxer was already planning how to manage these multiple initiatives to ensure their success. As they approached the airport, Manny found himself feeling increasingly energized by the scope of the transformation he could facilitate for this deserving family. The champion had always been motivated by ambitious goals and comprehensive solutions, and the driver's situation presented an opportunity to demonstrate the full potential of strategic philanthropy. The boxer was already anticipating the satisfaction of watching every aspect of the family's life improve through his support. The champion's excitement was tempered by his understanding of the importance of maintaining humility and respect throughout the process of providing help. Manny had learned that the most meaningful generosity was that which honored the dignity and agency of those being helped. The boxer was already planning how to present his support in ways that would celebrate the driver's character and hard work rather than creating feelings of dependence or obligation. Manny felt the familiar stirring of determination that had guided his most significant decisions throughout his boxing career and philanthropic work. The champion had learned to trust his instincts when they pointed toward opportunities to make meaningful differences in people's lives, and every aspect of this encounter was confirming his sense that he had been placed in this taxi for a purpose. The boxer's heart was filled with certainty about his intention to transform this family's circumstances. As they pulled into the airport departure area, Manny made the decision to reveal his identity and his plans to help the driver's family. The champion had learned that transparency and directness were essential components of meaningful generosity, and he wanted to ensure that the driver understood both the source of the help and the genuine motivations behind it. The boxer prepared himself to share his story and his commitment to supporting deserving families. The champion's mind was already working through the immediate steps he would take to begin implementing his support for the family. Manny had learned that swift action was often essential when people were facing urgent needs, and he was prepared to make the phone calls and arrangements necessary to provide immediate relief. The boxer's sense of urgency was balanced by his commitment to ensuring that his help would be both comprehensive and sustainable. Manny began to anticipate the driver's reaction to learning about his identity and his plans to help, understanding that such revelations could be overwhelming and emotional. The champion had experienced similar moments before and had learned to approach them with sensitivity and patience. The boxer was prepared to provide whatever time and explanation were necessary to help the driver understand and accept his offer of support. The champion's thoughts turned to his own family and the lessons he wanted to teach his children about the importance of using success to help others. Manny had always believed that his philanthropic work was as important as his boxing achievements in terms of the legacy he wanted to leave. The boxer saw this encounter as an opportunity to demonstrate the values that had guided his entire life and career. As they sat in the taxi near the terminal, Manny felt a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to make such a meaningful difference in deserving lives. The champion had learned that these moments of connection and generosity were among the most fulfilling experiences of his life. The boxer was already anticipating the joy he would feel from watching this family's transformation and success. The champion began to prepare for the logistics of staying in touch with the driver and coordinating the various forms of support he planned to provide. Manny had learned that effective philanthropy required ongoing communication and careful follow-through. The boxer was already planning how to maintain contact and ensure that his support would be implemented successfully. Manny's heart was filled with excitement and purpose as he prepared to reveal his identity and his plans to help. The champion had always believed that his success was meant to be shared with others, and this encounter represented a perfect opportunity to live out that belief. The boxer was ready to transform not just his own life, but the lives of this deserving family who had reminded him of the values and character that truly mattered. Manny reached into his jacket and withdrew his wallet, carefully counting out a substantial amount of cash that represented far more than payment for the taxi ride. The champion had learned that immediate financial relief was often the most urgent need for families facing medical crises, and he wanted to ensure that the driver would have resources to address his most pressing concerns. The boxer's generous payment was accompanied by his business card, which would soon reveal his true identity. The champion watched with satisfaction as the driver's expression changed from confusion to amazement upon recognizing the name on the business card. Manny had experienced these moments of revelation many times, but he never lost his appreciation for the opportunity to surprise deserving people with unexpected support. The boxer's humble demeanor remained unchanged as he prepared to explain his intentions and his plans for helping the family. With characteristic humility, Manny began to share his own story of humble beginnings and the people who had helped him along his journey to success. The champion wanted the driver to understand that his offer of support was not charity, but rather a continuation of the cycle of generosity that had been essential to his own rise from poverty. The boxer's words carried the weight of personal experience and genuine empathy. The champion explained that he had been deeply moved by the driver's story and his obvious dedication to his family despite overwhelming challenges. Manny had learned to recognize authentic character when he encountered it, and he wanted the driver to know that his support was based on respect and admiration rather than pity. The boxer's offer of help was presented as an investment in proven character and determination. Manny revealed his plan to arrange for complete coverage of the driver's wife's cancer treatment through his foundation's medical assistance program. The champion had established relationships with the Philippines, best oncologists and treatment centers specifically to help families facing such challenges. The boxer's comprehensive approach would ensure that the woman received world-class care without any financial burden on her family. The champion then announced his intention to provide a full scholarship for the driver's daughter's nursing education, covering not just tuition but all associated expenses. Manny had always believed that investing in young people's education was among the most important uses of his success, particularly when supporting those who had demonstrated both academic excellence and a commitment to serving others. The boxer's scholarship would remove all financial obstacles from the young woman's path to achieving her dreams. Manny's most ambitious offer involved partnering with the driver to establish a successful automotive service business that would provide stable income and opportunities for growth. The champion had learned that sustainable help required creating pathways to independence rather than dependence. The boxer's business proposition would utilize the driver's mechanical skills while providing the capital and support necessary for success. As the morning sun illuminated the airport departure area, Manny prepared to catch his flight while ensuring that the driver had all the information and contacts necessary to begin implementing these life-changing opportunities. The champion's commitment to follow through on his promises was evident in the detailed arrangements he had already begun making. The boxer's generosity was backed by systematic planning and ongoing support. The champion's heart was filled with joy and anticipation as he prepared to leave, knowing that his chance encounter with this deserving family would result in transformed lives and renewed hope. Manny had learned that these moments of connection and generosity were among the most meaningful experiences of his life, providing purpose and satisfaction that far exceeded any personal achievement. The boxer's legacy would be measured not just by his championships, but by the lives he had touched and the dreams he had helped fulfill.
Leave your like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next cases.